Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. We are here again, coming at you during the smack middle of quarantine and COVID, and it's just a strange time, but we're keeping it rolling. And prayers and thoughts to all of the folks that are working in the forces and healthcare industry and that are on the front lines combating this, and to the lives that have already been lost. Hearts go out to you, and yeah, we're just, trying to stay positive through this and keep community. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And we've got a very special guest for you. Our guest is an aspiring attorney and owner of Sass Nails in the historic City Market downtown Raleigh district. And she's got a background in music distribution, really interesting character. We met at a show sometime back in 2019. And that's actually a crazy story. We might want to talk about that in a little bit, but please welcome to the show my good friend, Miss Sarah Sass Wilson.
Woo! Hello. Love the jacket, Jason.
Thank you, and likewise.
Thank you very much.
So you are in the heart of your establishment. Tell us what's going on over there as far as the decor. I actually saw this place in person after hours. It's a beautiful space, as you guys can see. But what I was going to start with your beginning stages, but while we're talking about decor, let's talk about it real quick.
Okay, well, I live in the downtown area. I've been in the downtown area for 5 years almost. Actually a little bit longer, but in this area 5 years. And I saw a demand for a nail salon. And throughout the years, I had been to a lot of nail salons, and I used to be a nail technician, and there were things that weren't incorporated in certain nail salons and certain sanitation things. So my vision was, okay, what have I always wanted in a nail salon, and how I wanted to make it modern, and how I wanted to make it a little bit more sanitary than most. And so I saw this space. There is an actual hair salon next door, and I just went for it in 2017. I said, oh, this is a great idea. It's right behind Woody's and Big Ed's, like directly. And that's how we met. We met at your show at Woody's, which was absolutely amazing. And you play a really good harmonica, which I absolutely enjoyed listening to on the social media. So when I saw the place, this is my first time, opening for business, doing anything like this. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that hard. I thought it was just going to be, okay, you get the lease, you open up, and then boom, boom, boom. No, I had to get an architect and an engineer. I had to upgrade the space. I kept it as original as possible because everything is from 1914. I even have a tunnel in the back that I call Prohibition Tunnel, but
which I've seen, and it's quite accurate. Really, like seriously, it's disturbingly accurate.
I ran out of money at the end, so I couldn't actually hire someone to grind through the floor. But the owner of City Market said that it's definitely a tunnel, but it could be for certain things. He didn't quite tell me. He said he'd give me the tour soon. And yeah, I had to switch everything around as far as electricity and water. And then I came in and I put in this skylight that I'm really proud of. And I just try to be minimalistic, but super modern. And yeah, and I want it to be like nothing that you've ever seen, especially in Raleigh. And I think that I accomplished that.
I love it. It's very modern. It's inspiring. I gotta ask, because you're obviously on the show. Yes, the show is based around the arts. It's based around production and the celebration of artistic endeavors. Your artistic flair, how did it start? Let's get into the beginning stages of that. Maybe dive back into childhood years a little bit, as far as when did you know that you had this? And I think it's a gift, but however you want to phrase it for yourself.
Thank you. I feel that I've always been an artist, some type of artist at heart. I never played an instrument growing up. I never took any dance classes, official dance classes, but I always used to sing and dance in the mirror. My mom was quite strict on me, and so I was kind of sheltered my whole life. So at home, I would always sing and dance, you know, Spice Girls or George Michael or, you know, anything, yeah, anything, you know, even No Doubt, Metallica, Nirvana, you know, it was a wide range, top 40, anything. So my mom and my father, Rod Stewart, I love, we just had a lot of music in the house and a lot of art, but neither one of my parents were like an official artist, you know, they were engineers. But yeah, it started me just being a dreamer, you know, just always just like watching music videos all the time, watching certain people play in the band, just live music, anything that had anything to do with art, whether it was music or, you know, anything visual. I just fell in love with it. And I don't know why that I never kind of engaged in it. Like, okay, well, maybe I should take an art class, or maybe I should take a piano class or guitar class or saxophone. I don't know why I never did that growing up, or maybe I should enroll in a dance class. I didn't, but I kept it as a passion, and it's still my passion. So with Sass Nails, I feel like when you're here, you have to feel a certain feeling. The same kind of feeling you get when you go to a live show, the same kind of feeling you get when you watch a movie, or, you know, or go to an art museum. So it ties into all that. The same thing when you, any kind of concert, any kind of anything, you get this feeling while you're there. It feels good. And that's how all of this stemmed from. And you just kind of go with your gut, go with what looks and feels good. It's all emotion.
That's a great way to put it. It's really interesting to hear that perspective. Even though I'm quite well acquainted with it, because that's how I think, but to hear it from you, from your side of the with what you do business wise, you don't really hear a lot of entrepreneurs talk in those terms, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, real true business men and women, they want to strangle me because I treated Sass Nails like a work of art. I mean, I literally, even to this day, truly do. And they're like, get out of Walt Disney, come back to reality, you know, and I get what they're saying, but yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, you do what comes to you. As an artist, everything is an emotion. Everything has its reasoning why. And certain people that are programmed a little different don't get it. But in the end, it just works out. It just works out. And it's appreciated by all kinds of people, but it's especially appreciated by artists like yourself and other artists.
I love it. I think it's great. Any specific influences for you over the years? I mean, you just rattled off a bunch of names musically. Anybody seminal in your life in your early stages that really pushed you into it? Was more just intuitive, you know, like, this is my gut, this is what I'm feeling?
I think it was more just intuitive. Also, it's crazy because I remember back in like 2009 and 2010, I have journals, like all kinds of journals. And I write in them for a little bit and then I stop for a while and then I go back and I actually wrote about Sass Nails, but it was just like fun. I didn't really think that it would come into existence. So I think that saying is when you write something and manifestation, I believe. I wasn't trying to do that, but I have done that. Everything that I have wrote about in the past, at least 5 to 6, 7 years, you know, ago, it has come true with, you know, within reason. You know, obviously,
Right.
if I said I want to be a billionaire, you know, that didn't come true. But I didn't write that. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
It just kind of it made sense, and it just kind of when you're younger, or even if you're not younger, like in life, sometimes you don't understand why something happens or why it's going to happen or if it's going to happen. But then years later, you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known what I knew then, but it's okay because I get it now. So that's kind of how that went. It was like I kind of wrote about it and it happened. It's just unfortunate that this has happened to us, you know, globally, because it has put a big wrench in this. But
Yeah.
there's probably a reason for that as well, and I'll know that reason later.
again, I have really not much more to add to that. It's just such a great perspective. Yeah, the artistic and creative and service industries are, getting hit the hardest.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, like I said, some people are like, oh man, it's okay. I can't wait to come out. We've got all these jokes and memes about, when it lifts, we're going to be running to the bars, the restaurants, and, the shopping and all these things. But are we really? Because somebody like businesses like myself that are non-essential, I mean, some people think that they are essential, but non-essential meaning we don't have to be open for this world to keep going. We don't have to get our nails done. We don't have to get our hair done. This is a luxury thing.
Well, some people do.
Well, it's a grooming thing, right? But you can kind of do it on your own, right? I mean, I guess you could cut your hair. I don't know. But even when everything lifts, it's going to be hard because people are not going to want to come. They're going to be scared. And then if they do come, if I can only take in 5 people at a time or 2 people at a time, what about the other 10 people? It's going to be, really hard.
What are your thoughts as far as, well, and you just expanded on it a little bit, but let's go in a little bit further. I mean, 6 months, 12 months down the road, and we don't know when restrictions are necessarily going to be lifted off, but what are your thoughts on the world as far as like what this new normal or whatever people are alluding to?
I feel like a lot of good has come from it as well as bad. I haven't read the literature on it, but I have been told that the air quality is better. That in certain places in the sea around Italy, the fish have come back to life, so the wildlife has come back. So on an Earth perspective, then yeah, I think that we have kind of cleaned up a little bit. As far as a societal thing, I think that we have realized how important human interaction is to our mental well-being.
Yeah.
There have been studies, even Harvard did a study that we're the most happiest when we are socializing. And even if we don't have a ton of friends, just to be out, a person that doesn't even have one friend, just to be out in society and feeling like we're one with the people. That's really, important. I think we realize that now. And then I think you and I have even talked, there's simple things that we're doing now, like riding a bike or doing things that we used to do maybe 10 to 15 years ago that we kind of stopped doing.
Right.
We are using our devices more now, of course, our cell phones and, our like podcasts and all that. So as far as technology goes, yeah, we are using that a lot more now because that's all that we have. But I think that it's ironic that even though we're using it more, we still realize that, no, us together, like in the moment, being with each other, we miss that. We miss that, and we need that. Just the human interaction with each other. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am super excited to be doing this podcast, but I'd rather be right next, like 6 feet in front of you at the table.
So it's a beast of a table, Italian and heavy as hell.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but I'd rather be there. But yeah, that's how I think of it. I think that we are going to be more compassionate to one another. We're going to definitely miss one another. Yeah. And the things that we took for granted, I think that alone in our homes, we're going to think about what we took for granted. So maybe it's a good thing for us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, it's definitely going to spur off a lot of innovation and, because things are still moving forward. It's just it's in an unprecedented fashion.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's talk music for a second. Let's get into your. We had Dave Rose on a while back, and that was one of the talking points when we last spoke in person. Deep South. and you had an internship there for a little bit. Would love to hear a little bit more about that, and then kind of music distribution, what happened afterwards in your career.
Well, actually, prior to landing the internship at Deep South, which I did for Steve, so there was Dave, and then there was Steve.
Right.
Steve was right before Dave, and Dave. Dave, I actually have a book, Dave, if you're listening, Artist Management. I still have that book. I've been wanting to give it back to him for all these years, but they did actually close down the office. But thank you so much for allowing me to read. I have to spruce up on the book, but I can't wait to see him in all these years. I still have the book. But I was working for Scorpion Music, Inc., which is one of the largest distributing companies on the East Coast out of Trenton. And the reason why they are so successful, opened up in 1969, over a 42,000 square feet warehouse.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, we buy the music from Sony and Warner Brothers, and we distribute it. So a lot of these record shops, especially the ones in Raleigh or any of the other cities, they don't have enough money to get these large accounts with Sony or with Warner Brothers to get music. Say, if you want to buy 500 pieces of vinyl from Sony, you have to spend a certain amount of money every year, and you have to get a large quantity. So what we do is we sell like the onesies, or if you're a record store you just open and you only need 24 Velvet Underground record, we distribute it to you at a lower price. Some of the prices is 24 vinyl, and we do $14.95 a vinyl. So we basically our competitor is Alliance out of Florida, which is the largest distributor, and they do more than just vinyl. We do everything from CDs to cassettes to books, mostly vinyl. And our top 5 sellers would be like New Order, The Smiths, Velvet Underground, Ramones, Nirvana,
Wow.
Metallica, Joy Division. Like there's,
wow.
I mean, like, and like Elton John had the movie, so of course his album, the Kitties. Kind of no one really buys that on vinyl. It's mostly the classic timeless music,
The legacy artists per se, whether they're living or not still.
Yeah, so I would go to record shops. My favorite one was Peaches in New Orleans. It was a record shop out there. So I would go to record shops in the United States, and basically I would make sure that the merchandise was displayed properly in the stores. And I would stay up to date with kind of like the top 40, like hip hop stuff, because the CEO of the company was more into like the soul and the old school. And then some of the alternative he didn't know from the late 90s. And that was kind of my specialty. And he said, "You're so young, but you know." And I said, "Listen, music has no age. You don't have to be 50 or 40 to know good music. You know what I mean? 20 and know good music. You just gotta have 2 ears, right?" So the internship was like, I was searching and I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, I know I love music. I don't play an instrument. I'm not an artist or anything, not a dancer, I'm not anything art, but I want to still be submerged in it. This is what I love. This is my passion. This is like life to me. Without that, I would feel blue. I would have the blues. So I saw an article, I believe it was Craigslist, and it was an internship for music business. So I interviewed with Steve and I got the job, and basically what I would do was I would book bands, mostly for weddings. I thought it was going to be more like, and I got to see how some were like, 3,000 to 5,000. I got to see how some of the artists struggled sometimes, because if you got a band of 4 or 5 people and you're charging, let's say $3,000 to do a wedding, certain amount goes for the equipment, certain amount goes. So at the end of the day, some people aren't even making but 50 to 100 bucks at that off the show. And I was like, oh, wow. So it opened my eyes to, live music and what the band members go through, especially when they're part of 3 to 4 people in a band, and when it boils down to who gets what and how much money you're actually making. So that was good. And then I thought about doing something with Merge Records, because Deep South at the time, they were connected with Merge Records out of Durham, which is a pretty good, obviously music producing company. So, but I never went any further with it after that. I continued on with Scorpio, and then of course Deep South. The office is closed, and but the bar is still open. And as a matter of fact, Steve's band played at my sister's wedding in 2013. So that was really, really cool. It was really sentimental to me.
And you, while we're still on the music streamline of thought here, you said something about saxophone.
Yes.
Yeah, you're playing a little bit.
So one of my favorite songs is "Careless Whispers" by George Michael, and of course, back in The Simpsons, Lisa played the saxophone too. So those two things kind of really, but the saxophone is such a sexy, sensual sound. I've always fallen in love. But that song, "Careless Whispers," it hooked me. I said, saxophone just off of that song. I want to master that song. And all I have is dee, 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 dee. That's all I can play.
It's a great hook.
That's why
I have a sax somewhere in this studio. It's like 50 years old. I was futzing around on it a couple of years ago. Really didn't get far with it. I've also got a trumpet laying around, and kind of got a little bit of taps, but it sounded like a squealing, dying pig, so I stopped.
Yeah, most of the times it's kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's weird because the fingerings on sax, it's like it's like counterintuitive because I'm used to guitar and piano, everything's linear, but there's a lot of things with like sax where just the way the instrument is constructed and the airflow and the valves, you have to do these like weird things, and it's a whole different methodology.
We have to feel your sax. So with me, I'd have to put my teeth in and up, in the reed and kind of blow, and then I remember bag and fed, BAGFED. So there were certain little acronyms that I remember, especially reading the music.
Right.
I was really wanting to read it, and so there were different acronyms that my saxophone teacher taught me, like all girls love certain delicious food, or so I'm like,
right. Well, you play alto, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you read the alto staff.
Yes, but it's really hard because I tried to learn how to read the music and play at the same time. So I think that if I would just kind of concentrate on one or the other, I'd be able to master. But I've kind of stopped playing. About 2 years ago is when I picked it up. And honestly, the best thing to do is just play around.
Right.
Think about it. Just listen and play around. You have to know your own instrument. And then the reeds are really important. And you've got like 4 or 5. I didn't realize that. You have like 4 or 5 different reeds depending on what kind of sound that you're trying to, have for that evening, whether it's like a jazzy or whether it's like a flat, or whether it's a high or, whatever it is. It's interesting. It's like experiences with your instrument. It's like your little baby, and you've got all these memories from it. You take it.
I'm trying to read my handwriting here. Oh, okay. Aesthetics. That A wasn't like crossed. It's like capital A, and it looked like an upside down V. And I'm like, what did I write down here? Yeah, aesthetics. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but again, just your thoughts on perhaps what makes a great visual, maybe, design and nails, and like, just it's not my field, so I want to learn more. Tell me more.
Well, generally, to me, aesthetics is something that it's almost unexplainable. It's just a feeling, like I said. So when you sit down somewhere,
it's art.
Yeah, how do you feel? Oh, that's nice. When something like, yeah, cluttery or something is kind of distorted, you're kind of uneasy, you know? And it has nothing to do with your state. Some people are like, well, it could just be the state of the person. You know, the person came in frantic, sat down, and they're just frantic. No, 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 no. That's where the aesthetic comes in. If a person just came in frantic and it sits down, and whether it's a show or a nail salon or this or a bus, it doesn't matter. And the aesthetics is pleasing. And as they look around, they see something that's either calming or just pretty, you know, visually just nice. Or even if they can't see, but what they feel and what they hear. So that's what I think of when I think of aesthetics. How does it make you feel when you're there in the moment, in the salon, in the concert, in the studio, in the bus, on the restaurant? How do you feel? What does it look like to you? All the senses. Not everybody is going to have their senses. There are, you know, some people that can't, like I said, see, can't hear, and that's okay. But there are other senses that they can use to make them feel a certain way when they're in the moment of wherever they are. So when it comes to Sass Nails, when you're in Sass Nails, how do you feel? That's basically how I went about everything. I walked in and I spent hours like, how do I feel when I sit on this chair? Is it massaging good? When I look up, let's say I had a bad day. Do I really want to see this? Do I really want to hear this? No, I want to see this. I want to hear this. It's going to make me feel good. So it all boils down into happiness and feeling good. That's aesthetics.
It's just a great analysis. I'm like, it's I love it.
Thank you.
Entrepreneurship for you, and again, we did talk about it a little bit earlier, but how that ties in. I remember somebody telling me, I think it was actually Dave Rose, believe it or not. I think he said it on his interview where he's like, sometimes it's good to not know what you're getting yourself into, because if you did, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can attest to that with being
God.
a business owner as well.
That is one of the most truthful statements I think today that I've heard. When you really are the boss, you don't want to be the boss. All right.
Right.
So if you've never been a boss before, or a business, anything, you think certain things, but then when you get into it, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not that you're a quitter, but sometimes it's better just to live simply. And being a boss, it comes a lot of responsibilities, a lot of sacrifices, and sometimes it's not really that worth it. A lot of egos are incorporated, not only yours, but other people's. So it has to be something that you really enjoy and you're really passionate about, because if not, it's just going to be a headache. I don't want to keep Sass Nails open just so my name can be on a door, you know? It's got to be more than that. And sometimes you can have a really good idea and you can have a really good vision and everything could be beautiful, but it just doesn't work out. You know, it just wasn't meant to be. And I think that you have to be smart enough to know when it's time to either pull out or keep going, or, you know, not even go down that avenue, you know? So yeah.
The love has to supersede,
I think
you know.
I think finances too. You know, you don't want to be, you can love something, but if you're flushing money down the toilet every month, I mean, love something else, you know? Get out of Walt Disney, like they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It depends, you know?
Well, you were, okay, so another kind of fun fact, another thing that like you and I kind of found common ground on was William Peace University.
Go Pacers!
I still have them over there. I should have got them. Well, maybe I'll get them real quick. But if I think it's remarkable. I was building my studio and New Blue Entertainment while I was in business school, and you're basically doing the same thing. Just a couple of thoughts on that. You know, just some thoughts.
Finishing up my last year in bachelor's in science and business administration, and minor in psychology. What I really like about William Peace University is that it is literally in the heart of downtown Raleigh with a lot of history behind it. And I like that. I like being in an area, businesses in City Market. I'm living downtown. I've got William Peace University. I mean, of course, there's other universities around, but this is like a historic university that's downtown. The teachers, or the professors, excuse me, they're great. They care. Smaller school, so
Yep.
you get attention. I just feel like you gotta love like what you do. And even though I'm not like born and raised in Raleigh, I love Raleigh. I love North Carolina. Everywhere I go, I want to represent North Carolina in the best way possible. And I have a love for it. I mean, we're great here. We have all this state is beautiful. So being a pacer, it means something to me. It really does. And that's one thing that I like about it. Also, a lot of things that I am learning in my classes, I'm able to incorporate them in my business. And even, with all this is going down, even if the business succeeds or fails, I have a lifelong lesson that I have learned. And, in the future, going forward with my career as an attorney, if I want to open up my own practice, at least I have this great experience of having a business prior and having this great business classes at William Peace University to help me that I'll never forget along the way. And these are great tools, for the future.
Yeah, it was. I think I've already explained this to you. It was strange how, like, right after when I graduated last year, because I had the same. You're doing the same degree that I got. I didn't do a minor though, in psychology. And it was like it was weird. Like my brain was just scrambled from so much because I did my program in about 5.5 or 6 years. So I was playing a lot of shows and touring for the first like 4 years. And I wasn't really doing a full-time schedule with Peace, and their online program is great. So there's a lot of flexibility, but then like the last 18 months, I was like, all right, man, I gotta get out of here. I love you guys, but I gotta get out. So I did it was ridiculous. I did like 15 or 18 credits per semester, like full time and still doing everything else. So when I came out of it, my brain was like done. And then all of a sudden, like after graduation and for a couple of months, right after that, it was like, boom, something happened. And it was just like this little shift, this little paradigm shift. And everything came back to me. Like all the knowledge came back to me. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, whoa. Oh, now. So like it went into the real world and it was extremely applicable. Which sounds like kind of what you're going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, there are people. I went back to college like a little bit later on in life. I think it's important to complete your degree.
100%.
And so I feel that some people that I talk to that are younger, they're always like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. And I said, well, that's what college is for. I've changed my major so many times, and you can, and you don't know what you want, and you don't know what you're good at until you spend some time in a university, and it just kind of figures its own self out as the years go by. And with university as well, and going back to you remembering certain, it's got to be something that you're interested in. It doesn't have to necessarily be something, oh my God, super love, because you don't know yet, but something something that sparks your interest. And then when it does, you pay more attention to it, and then your brain retains it, and then you can use it. To me, it made sense business. Same thing for you. So you're able to implement it into your everyday life. And that's what college is really all about. It's not just a piece of paper. Not only does it grooms you as a human being, it makes you a better, well-rounded human being, but it also gives you the correct tools that you need. The only thing is you got to figure out what are those tools that you need. Is it biology? Is it business? Is it psychology? Is it engineering? Is it law? What is it? And then you go from there. Yeah, but definitely you will absolutely be able to implement what you learned in college. It's not just like
Yeah.
part of your time, even though that's fun.
Well, and that was it. Yeah, and I was like working the entire time and just working on my career. So I had a very boring life for like I mean, we've talked, like, I'm a workaholic. So it's now in my mid 20s. I'm like, bro, you've really got to like actually be mindful of having a good time. I actually have to train my brain to stop thinking and to go, okay, like, dude, just chill.
Well, I think the important thing to remember in your case is you've done it. You got the qualifications, the certificate, you got it under your belt. Now you can relax and really party it up. And you got party it up, but you did it like in a good amount of time. It's not like you're 50 and you did it, you're mid-20s. So like you could totally like relax a little bit because your responsibilities have been met. You've exceeded that. And so you're not gonna, be a party animal. Of course you're gonna keep being a workaholic, but you can definitely relax now and kind of enjoy the moment,
I'm still working on that. And even being on stage and being in front of cameras and everything's like about being present. You gotta be here. Like, you gotta, it's still, it's just.
You need to party a little bit while you're in the moment because that is going to add to your art.
I've noticed that. I have. I co-produced. You'd probably like his music. It's very rock oriented. My good buddy Brett Fox, and I may have already told you this, but he's like, look, I really want you to produce this song, because I talked to him. I was like, hey man, like, we should collaborate and work together. I think it's a great song that you've got. Love to spice it up in the production area and just make it sound as good as we possibly can. I have a couple of ideas, and he's like, oh, I'm all for it, but you just have to promise me one thing, because he and I are really good friends. He's like, listen, the moment it's not fun for you, I need you to stop.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I went in with that mentality, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. And it's just really good advice I needed to hear, because producing your own work and producing your own music, you can get really caught up in the perfectionistic aspects of what you do. It's just great wisdom. Yeah. Like, you've got to have a good time. If you're not having a good time, it's just not, is it worth it?
I think it depends on, what it is. Certain things that you have to do. I mean, of course, if we're the president of the United States and we have to do a press conference,
Right.
have time. We need to be, So there's a time and place for everything. So there's a time and place to have a good time. And going back to you being a perfectionist or workaholic, most artists are. Most artists are really hard on themselves. And even you've told me in this podcast, I don't think you give yourself enough credit. And the same thing goes for you. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. And most artists don't, because they are a perfectionist, or they see them. They're not. People think they're egotistical. No, they're not. They're just consumed with themselves, because the minute that you stop being consumed with yourself and you start worrying about other people, you lose your it factor. Because now your attention is focused on other people, what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
With comparison, it's a huge trap that people fall into. I mean, I fall into it. Anybody can.
Oh yeah, I think that as I got older is when I was younger, I never fell into it, But as I got older,
that's a gift.
Yeah, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to pay less attention to myself and more to the world around me and what so and so's doing. Not in a way of being nosy, but just kind of opening my eyes up a little bit more. But then I go, no. You don't have to be selfish and egotistical, but come back to center. Everybody has their unique gift in this world, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be on an artistic thing. It could be that they're just like super nice, or they're some kind of quality that they have. So we need to focus on that. We need to focus on ourselves get ourselves the best that we can be so that we can contribute to a better world, you know? And that could be numerous things. It could be you're a good mathematician, or you're a good harmonica player, or you're a good, you know, podcaster, or whatever it is. You know, it's that. It's not about being egotistical or being selfish. It's just about, Michael Jackson said it, look in the mirror and, you know, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. You know, you got to change yourself before you can.
That's triggering an inside joke that I'll have to save when we're off air, because for me to, and I don't even know if I can, it's so, and here's the crazy thing about it. I don't even know why I'm explaining this, because it means nothing to anybody watching, but I wasn't there for the joke, but it's so funny that me even not being there and having really good friends tell me about it, it's still hilarious. So anyway, I'll save it for later. So law and entertainment law, future plans for you. You talked a little bit about that. Yeah, just, you know, your thoughts on it and what's next.
Well, I definitely want to advocate for people. I think that is definitely my calling. I fought it for many years, but I definitely feel my passion is in that. And being that I told you before, yes, I'm taking saxophone lessons now, but I've never established myself in the entertainment business as an artist or a dancer or a painter or anything. But I am so in love with that field that I feel like, okay, well, if I can't be one of the people in the field, I can contribute to the field, as in law. Yeah. So that's what is making me lean towards entertainment law, because I was like, okay, environmental law, yeah, but if I go against this big company, one day I might get cancer. You know, it's like, I hate to say it, but it seems like anytime you try to fight like a big corporation, or you try to fight the big guys, you know, all of a sudden, years later, you've got like some kind of cancer that you developed, or something happens to you. So I want to live a good life. I want to live simple. I want to be happy. Of course, you know, I like the finer things in life, but I want to live simple, live simply, keep it light, and be happy. And so I love the entertainment industry. What better field to go in but entertainment law? So I am going to law school next year. So I'll be taking the LSAT sometime next year as well. And yeah, I've got a few options of universities that I'm thinking about that specialize in entertainment law. And that's exactly where I'm going to be taking it. Then I can still be with you guys.
Yeah, with the kooks.
I can still be with you, with the artists, and not have to actually be an artist.
Yeah.
which I in my own way, you know?
Best and worst concert experiences for you, if you had one of each.
Oh.
Yeah.
Worst, I can't remember what it was. It was something at the Lincoln Theater, actually. It was like Molly. It was like a cover band. The best, I would have to say, Buddy Guy. I don't know if you guys know Buddy Guy. He is a blues musician, and he went to UNC, I think Carolina Theater, or was it UNC Arts? I don't know. But that was a pretty good concert, I would have to say. And I
actually think I didn't open up for him on that stage, but I opened up for Claudette King during I believe that same time frame, if that was like 6 years ago. But I don't know if it was then.
The name, the Claudette, sounds familiar. I have to think, but
it was like some blues fest. Like, it was a big thing in Durham. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the same thing, but I think that might have been the same thing.
That's when I've seen him. I've seen him in Durham. I mean, there's other one. Like I said, I go to every 311 concert. People make fun of me. They're like, "Give it a break," but they just put on such a good show.
Did we have that conversation? The 311 conversation? Did I tell you my 311 experience?
I don't think so, but I have one of the drumsticks from one of the last time they came. I think it was last summer that they came at Walnut Creek, and I was right there, front and center on the barricade.
Let me. No, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No, 311. I just feel like they're really professional. You know, everything about them is great. Their music feels good. Okay, you can hear it a million times. It feels good. They don't come every 6 months to every 8 months, but when they come, you want to see them.
Yep.
It's always a good show, and it's different every time, even though it's the same material.
So
I love.
I saw them at Carolina Rebellion, and I wanted to see other bands that I couldn't see the day before because I had a show somewhere in Raleigh, and Carolina Rebellion is out in Charlotte. I don't know if you've been there. It's very like you'd probably like it. It's very like metal, but you would still probably dig it. Um, so I go and I went with a couple of friends of mine, and it was like, yeah, we waited front row for 311, and we were there for about an hour and a half waiting, and we were right up on the rail. And they came out, and I don't even know how this is possible. It literally sounded like the greatest hits record. Like it literally sounded okay. Like I don't know how to explain it because I'm thinking about all the production stuff. Like that's when I go to shows, for me, it's always yeah, it's a spiritual experience, but at the same time, it's educational because I'm always thinking like, okay, how are they getting the sound? We're outside. There's about 10,000 people here at this stage. There's other stages on the other side of the field. I only have one speaker right in front of me. All the mains are way up high. We're not really getting them. How does it sound stereo? Like I couldn't, it was just surreal. And the show, like everything you just said, because 311 was literally the greatest live band I've ever seen in my entire life. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was so good.
Yeah. I mean, also music makes you revert back to a nice time in your life, or
Yes.
oh, it wasn't a nice time, just a memory, and
Yeah.
it was a good time. You know, around it was like late '90s, I believe, that 311 was really popular and came out with most of the greatest early 2000s, but late '90s. And I feel like, I mean, everybody has their opinions. You know, I like some of the '70s, but I feel like the late '90s in music, especially when it comes to rock. I mean, I know it's like alternative and indie and all that stuff, but alternative rock, metal, whatever, it's rock and roll. Okay, whether it be, like I said, chop it up into different subcategories, but I feel like that time was the golden era for me, being the age that I am for music.
Right.
And all of that, like 311 comes from that era, and it's just feel good music. It just really is. And you're right. It sounds like, and even the one guy, when he's like, they're like kind of rapping a little bit,
Yeah.
he's like head off, and I mean, he's like right on it, and they're just good, and they're fit. It looks like they go to the gym like 5 times a week.
Did they do the drum solo routine?
Yeah, like
I was flabbergasted. I was floored because I had marching band. No, I actually didn't do marching band. I did I took some percussion class in high school. So to see them do all the things that they were doing, it was like, because I'm a drummer of 20 plus years. I was like, these guys can these guys can play. The guys that don't even play drums, I mean, they've got chops.
All of them play. Oh, what is it, when you go to Vegas, the Blue Man Group, and everyone's doing the thing?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's where they threw the drumstick that actually the guy next to me, him and his girlfriend caught it. He caught 2, and he was so sweet. He gave me 1 instead of keeping 2. So I didn't actually catch it, but the guy next to me was very kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come at the end, and all of the band members, they do the drums, and it's like, you know that you're right.
It was the best. It was, again, it's like, I've just never seen, and I've seen a lot of bands as well as you probably have. And, yeah, I mean, the only ones that really come close as far, and we're talking like full package, like sound, stage presence, song list, just persona, entertainment value, like experience, everything. The Doobie Brothers were probably they would, as far as like live show, they would probably be number 2 for me because it literally sounded like a choir on stage singing, singing all the parts, and there's only 4 of them. So I don't know how you figure that out. I didn't hear anything weird like auto-tune or voice boxes, or I didn't hear anything like that. I mean, it just was so damn tight, and the 2 drummers like playing literally the same parts, and it's like you're not hearing any delay in, like hands not hitting at the same time. It was just crazy.
Yeah, no, you know what that comes to mind is Blues Traveler. I actually recently
Yeah.
seen at Red Hat, and they had, gosh, why is my mind going blank? They had someone come even after them and before them that was a pretty good band. He was really good, but yeah, I'd have to say Blues Traveler as well, and did the harmonica. And when you did the harmonica weeks ago, I was like, yes.
I'm a struggling harmonica player. I mean, I've had it around for years, and I never really was able to do anything half decently with it until quarantine. Like somehow it just happened, and I was like, all right, cool, fine. I can finally do something somewhat bluesy with harmonica, not just sound like some jackass in a music store,
Yeah, but definitely 311. I'm glad you agree with me with that.
Oh, yes.
People always make fun of me, and I was like, I don't care.
No.
My guns. 311.
Yes.
311. Love them.
Yeah. God, incredible show.
Yeah.
Well, I've got something at the end as we kind of wrap up that I like to do. I call it the speed round or the shootout, where I say a word that's industry related to the guest, and you fire a word back, or a phrase back that like immediately comes to mind.
Okay.
You sound a little timid.
I'm like,
you don't even know what to expect.
possible. I'm like, what if I choke?
No, you won't choke. I have faith in you.
Okay.
What is that, a mimosa?
It's a Bellini.
What? Champagne?
Yeah, because instead of orange juice, I put peach nectar from Italy.
Okay.
But instead of mimosa, I do Bellinis, and we offer them here complimentary at Sass Social. Yes. Our white wine is from New Zealand. We have a Sauvignon Blanc. We have a red blend from Portugal. We have Aquapana still water from Italy, Perrier sparkling from France, and we have the Bellinis from Italy. So,
well, whether I want my nails done or not, I'm coming in for a complimentary. If I have to get my nails
with a great view of City Market, where you
love
played,
it.
your band played.
Right.
Bird's eye view of you and your band.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Business.
Sass Nails.
See, you're already winning.
Okay.
Internship.
Deep South.
Entrepreneurship.
Hopefully we'll be successful one day.
All right. Fashion.
Chanel.
Style.
Innovative.
Commerce.
E-commerce. I don't know.
I'm trying to read my handwriting again. What the hell is this? I got to skip that. I don't know what that says. Social media.
Take it or leave it.
These are some damn good answers. Everybody who's always like, oh, yeah, like, oh, I'm not going to do well in this, they always kill it. Pop.
Michael Jackson and Britney Spears. Madonna. Sorry.
Rock and roll.
Aerosmith.
Oh, man. Can't argue with that. Raleigh.
The capital.
drink?
Fun.
Can't argue with that as well. Last one for you.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm going to throw in another one. All right, second to last one. Pizza.
Really good.
Man, didn't even flinch. Okay, this is your last one. And you know why I'm probably going to bring it up.
Okay.
Maybe you won't. I don't know. Fries.
Burgers and fries.
Okay, I was trying to bait you into something there because when we were at Woody's,
Oh yeah.
you like, what the hell was? I mean, it was good, but it was like, what in the world is this girl ordering?
I did. I ordered fries, and the Philly cheese egg rolls are really good. It was like a Philly cheese deep fried or whatever.
It was good.
Yeah, I think that when you're out and you're, drinking, which we weren't drinking a lot. I think you had like a beer. We were watching Adam Pitts, which he's absolutely amazing. Adam Pitts is another live musician that you should definitely see, obviously, if you haven't
100%.
seen him. 100%. And his shows are feel good because they're always songs that are great and make you feel, and he does it all. Yeah, I think it's important to nibble. And so what better than fries? Because you get a little tips, you get the little tips going.
Little tips.
Get the little tips going. So yeah, I thought it'd be good to have little snacks, little bar snacks.
Yeah, it just cracked me up because the basket was like this, and I was like, man, this is a hell of a lot of carbs.
Yeah, no, but we're skinny. We're slim and trim. We can do it.
We didn't even talk about health and fitness and all, because that's a whole other field. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? Besides, because we can't really go to the gyms, and I'm still crying in my sleep about it. But it is what it is. What do you do? Like, any cool routines that you're into right now?
I mean, I've always danced in my home. So I put the music on for at least an hour or two and dance. I believe that's kind of cardio. I have a jump rope, but I have not used it yet, but one time. So I'm not going to lie. And then they have certain things that they are advertising on, like social media. I had one, I forgot the name of it. It was like a flex machine. Put the bands on, and you can do the arm exercises. So I have a device like that.
So you look like a Peloton person. You look like one of the I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just like, what do you think about the Peloton? To me, I think it's kind of like you're paying like $3,000 for a freaking bike. Like, just put your iPhone on a stand. If you want to get yelled at, go put a drill sergeant in front of you on a $50 bike.
I think that the people that are going to use something like that, good for you. It's a very small percentage, and I think the other people, we just have problems with impulse buying. So they're like, same thing as me. I got the jump rope for $40. I used it once or twice. So yeah, what about you? What are you doing to keep healthy?
A lot of yard work.
Yeah.
I'll send you some pictures. I mean, just like we've got a pull-up bar. There's like free weights around. I had an inclination last year. I wanted to get some 45-pound plates and a Olympic bar and everything, and a squat rack and bench. Didn't do it at the time because I was theoretically going to move everything. So I was like, well, I'll just get it when I'm in New York. So anyway, but I would have been set. I would have had all my big weights, and now I don't. I have baby weight, and it's very sad, but it is what it is. Like, you just have to adapt, and a lot of calisthenics, a lot of push-ups, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of, just toning weight ratios, and a lot of yard work. So.
Well, you're lucky that you have the weights, because I actually tried to get 20-pound weights a couple weeks ago, last month, and they were sold out until June. So
yeah. Yeah, and if you can find them online, they're going to price gouge you.
Oh, yeah. And they're, like, currently unavailable. Like, 20-pound weights? Really? But, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do. There, get a nice ottoman. You can do some, like, tricep dips and Nothing wrong with the plank. Classic, hold a plank for 2 minutes and feel like you're going to die and pass out. That's always fun.
There's a will, there's a way. I feel like anyone that's really concerned about any kind of toning or fitness, that you can do jumping jacks for heaven's sakes,
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's something for everyone, even if you don't have the money or the means to buy the equipment you're talking about.
It's not much. It's really not much. I mean, it's enough, but it's not enough.
Right.
It's never enough. Anything that has to do with gym gear or studio gear, it's never enough. But you make it work.
Yeah, absolutely do.
I have one last question for you that I ask everybody, which is, if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell her as far as like giving her advice?
I would say live each moment to the fullest. Don't ever procrastinate. Do it now. Just like Nike, just do it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Any last words beyond that?
Any last words beyond that? Jason, thank you for having me on your show. I believe that there was a reason why we met. You are a great musician, and a lot of your people that you have with you are great as well. And yeah.
Well, thank you.
We're all in this together. Even besides this, just as a human race, we're all in this together.
For sure. For sure. Well, we'll have your information in the description box below or to the sides. What's the website again? Is it just sassnails.com?
www.sassnails, and that's all together, SASSNAILS.com.
And it's at Sass Nails, Instagram, Facebook, all of those.
Or sassnails_.
Okay.
And Instagram. Yeah, so we just do Instagram and the website.
Sounds good. Well, it's been real, folks. You have been listening or watching the Jason Damico Show. It's been a great time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, or if this is iTunes, Spotify. Actually, it is subscribing on. Yeah, you do subscribe on any of the platforms. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. Sass's jacket is legit, and she wins the jacket contest for the evening. And we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye. Bye.